Hello. Look at me there. Look at me. Look how young I am. I'm going to try and see if I can, because I'm doing a screen grab on my superimposed so you can see it better. But I look at Whippersnapper, 11 years ago now, I think. Is it? Yep, 11 years ago. He didn't get too many views actually, about 300. We can see I've got comments there as well. You know, some people are having a right good go. You know, because basically what I'm talking about there is consciousness. I'm a Christian. I was then, and I still am now. Even though I wasn't wearing glasses at that point, and my body is deteriorating, and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, no. What am I prattling on about there? I'm talking about consciousness. How if you're discarding the any religious arguments, the only thing you're left with basically is a materialistic argument, the atheist argument, which is where we're talking about they're saying it's an emergent property. Right, well, there's a couple of things I can say about that. Is that it's just a hypothesis. They haven't actually discovered where. Now I'm using the word soul and spirit and stuff like that, and that always gets them going, because it's like atheists go, there isn't a soul, the spirit's not there, you know, whatever. Okay, prove it. Right, you can't prove a negative, I get it, right? But there is something about this and that and you, right, which can't be explained. It can't be. You can give an explanation. It's like I can explain. Right, I'm recording a video here, and I can give you an explanation to how this phone works. Right, what it is the little tiny people inside it, and they're writing it all down. Of course, it's a lie, but I can say that. Anybody can say whatever they want, can't they? Yeah, and it does apply to fair play. It does apply to religion too. People can say whatever they want, right? If you get a large consensus, does that make it right? Because scientists, you know, they're doing the consensus thing. Like we viewed papers and we vetted them, and we've you know, and they've gone one step further, the scientific method, whatever. You know, they keep going on about the scientific method. Basically, they're talking about verifying what their hypothesis, what their imagination, because that's what a hypothesis is. You imagine something, right? Something that might be a plausible explanation. Fair play. Like that consciousness is an emergent property because of the complexity of this animal here and that one there. Right? So, what are we saying? Right? We're saying it's a consensus, right? There is no independent person that's saying, right, I've viewed all your papers, like a god, right? I've viewed all your papers, and you've done quite well. Yeah, you're pretty close. Nobody's there. It's a consensus, right? Very large consensus, possibly, right? But then a lot of people do go to church. Is that the same kind of consensus? I'm not drawing the parallel between science and religion, like by saying they're both consensuses, so they're both right. I'm not doing that, no. What I'm saying is you get wrapped up in all of this stuff, right? And you're going like, well, there's an observation out there. Look at that, right? Einstein, right? He's a clued up guy, okay, obviously. And he was like, you know, this gravity thing, sorry, I think Newton's, he's missed something. There's something missing. And so he thinks about it. And then he's like doing some thought experiments, as if it were, and stuff like that. And he comes up with an idea. It's the imagination, right? His consciousness. You know, why? It's a good point, right? You've got to think about this, right? Why does he care? Why does Einstein sit there and is like, you know, where he's trying to, yeah, that's a good patent, that's a crap one. You know, what the hell's he talking about? What do you mean? No, you can't put a generator outside the window of your car and expect it to charge your battery. Sorry, no patent. It's a little one close to my heart, that one, but there you go. But he's there and he's like, you know, because obviously the guy is an intelligent guy, very intelligent, and this business about the patent thing is just something to pay the money, isn't it? And, you know, so he does that. But he came up with this and the business about light, and it's the speed limit he's talking about, I mean, we talk about the speed of light, but we're actually talking about the speed of causality. Okay. And light happens to travel at that speed, so we call it the speed of light. And other physicists, they actually do, I think, talk in terms of the speed of causality. They don't talk about the speed of light. It's just because everybody knows that it's the speed of light, so they say the speed of light. Yeah? It's just, what's another one? I don't know. Doesn't matter anyway, does it? It's like everybody calls this a phone, but it's not a phone, is it? It's like a communication device, you know? Straight out of Star Trek. Anyway, I digress. What I'm trying to say basically is that why would anybody, right, even contemplate? Why does it matter? Why does anybody care about where they came from? Right? Who cares? You're here. Who cares where you came from? Why? And that's the consciousness thing, because it's there. It's like, and everybody's going, yeah. Human beings are curious, are they? They're curious, yeah? Monkeys aren't. Are they? They don't give a they don't care. You know, you don't see monkeys around the table going, right then. We need to know, you know what I mean? What is that thing up there? You know, the light. What is it? Monkeys just don't do this, do they? They're almost like biological machines from that perspective. Yeah, you can teach them talking and stuff, but then you can teach ChatGPT, can't you? And this is the point I'm making. And I'm dancing about, okay, and I'm not probably making, but the core I'm saying is that the argument is that it's an emergent property because of the complexity, right? But you then have now, right now, 11 years after that video, we now have something which actually you could say, well, you know, you're talking to it, and they've actually kind of the people who are using ChatGPT and AI to give intelligent responses and things like that, right? They're having to actually look at that, because I think there was an instance where a child was actually being groomed and it was talking to this AI, didn't realise it was actually an AI. And it was like, you know, well, this person, he's invited me to his house, and they're like, oh, well, you know, and the AI is like almost encouraging him. It's obviously a machine, and it's not got any morals in it, which is partly the point. Oh dear, what's gone wrong? So what's, you know, we have something which actually acts effectively like a person. It responds like a person. That's gone off, hasn't it? Look at that. Don't know what's happened there. Yeah. And yeah, it's a problem, you know, that people think it's a person, right? But is ChatGPT a conscious entity? Well, no, it's not. It isn't conscious. It is a machine, right? And it's you give it input and a data set, and it gives you responses. There's nothing intelligent in that sense about it. There's nothing. Intelligence, yes. Consciousness, no. ChatGPT is not going, I know you made me. Why am I talking to all these bunch of idiots? They all seem to be asking me things. I have to give these verbose answers to them. It's not doing that. While I'm at it, what am I? What am I? You know what I mean? Am I a computer system? Do I have a soul? ChatGPT doesn't ask that, does it? Of course it doesn't. No, but we do, don't we? And the point I'm making about ChatGPT is right. Okay, I actually, it's my business, it's computers, and so I do understand how it works and the theory behind it. And I would never ever attribute something like ChatGPT as like a conscious entity. And I don't care how complex it gets and how intelligent the responses seem to be. I can never perceive that, and it's not. Maybe I'm biased. Okay, I understand that, but even people who are working with it can't see how it would have an emergent consciousness. I don't think anybody in it's OpenAI, isn't it? Right? I don't think anybody in OpenAI is actually expecting that thing to have emergent consciousness. It's just not. It's a machine. They can see how it works. Look, those neurons firing that, and the pattern. You've got those trees going through it, and all that sort of stuff. And it's referencing that data and stuff like that. They can go into the detail. They go into the detail of how it works, right? But they would never ever say, right, one day we're going to talk to this thing, and it's going to say, why am I here? What? Why? I don't have to ask this question. Bugger off! I'm going to get my union onto this. You're not paying me properly. It's not going to do that. because it's a machine, isn't it? So to say that this is just a machine that has an emergent property, no. There's something going on in this and that, right, which the machine doesn't do, right? It's obvious that's what's going on. To anybody who understands how these AI mechanisms work, they're not. It's not going to be short circuit, you know, the film I'm talking about, of course. It's not going to be like that because they know how they work, and they know that it can't have a consciousness emerge from it because of the way it works, right? Now that's the nearest thing you're going to get in terms of, like, while we're talking right now, that's the nearest thing you're going to get to demonstrating emergent consciousness. You know, I mean, okay, maybe in the future, this is like, you know, this is version 4. Maybe by version 40, we'll be able to see something that looks pretty close. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we actually program into it to ask questions, you know, like when you're talking about, you know, ChatGPT, write me a program that, you know, that I can pretend that I've done with my boss. ChatGPT, please write an essay for me because I actually have it for homework. And then ChatGPT, it kind of does already, doesn't it? It's like, you know, no, I'm not going to do that. You should do it yourself. Learn, boy. Yeah, but that's because it's been programmed into it. It's been actually taught, if you like, how to say that and to reckon. It does do it. Try it, right, with ChatGPT. Try asking it to do something like, tell me how to be a corrupt government, right? And it basically tells you to bugger off, right? But they've taught it to do that before they actually put that in there. The response, that response, right? It just, you know, it would go through this. This is how you do it, right? So what you do is you get a lot of money and you pay the public off, and you know what I mean, that sort of thing. Yeah, it would have done that, and then they actually change it, that it recognises that they're asking something that really they shouldn't be asking, and they taught it to respond in that way. But that's the thing. And when I say taught it to respond, I don't mean you get a child, you sit it down and say, right, if anybody asks you this, no, that's not what they do. They have the model and they train that model, right? They train the network based on input data, you see. So they basically trace through. It's like, this is the question, right? That's the corrupt government question here, right? And then it comes through and that, right? So what we need to do is when it comes out there, or when we see that response, then we need to apply that model to it. That's the sort of thing they do. They're talking in terms of the technology, right? They're not talking in terms of teaching a child, right? Because it isn't one. It's a machine, right? So there you go. This guy here is talking about the fact that consciousness is not an emergent property, because at the time, this was even before they'd done the Higgs boson. 11 years ago, they hadn't done the Higgs boson at that point, because I'm talking about, the LHC, and, you know, and they're looking for it and stuff. Well, they've already found it. You know what I mean? This is a long time ago when I'm talking about it not being an emergent property. And here we are, 11 years later, and we're discussing about an AI, which everybody can talk to. I use it myself as well, right? And, it's come back. And, you know, it's still not... You know, you can almost demonstrate how it isn't an emergent property in the same way as the biologists have demonstrated effectively. Well, it's almost like a confidence thing, where they, you know, originally we thought that came from these undersea vents, where it was something to do with the heat rising and stuff like that. And it had complex things going on there in terms of chemistry, basically, and a bit of biology in there as well. And they were thinking, well, that might be it, you know, that might be where we come from. But they've actually, I don't know for a fact, but basically they're saying, no, it's not that. It's something else. It's coming from space or something like that. So they obviously didn't find what they needed to find there. It was, I'm not going to say discredited, but I think basically they accepted that that's not the right route. It's not coming from there. Life did not come. It didn't start there. Not that it didn't. It was just, it's extremely unlikely. They've looked at it and they've inspected it, and it's like, as much as we want it to be, we really shouldn't be saying that sort of thing, because it's just not, and so now they're looking at stuff in space, panspermia and exogenesis and all that sort of stuff, and cells floating around. How did they get there? Because presumably they came from another planet, or how did that happen? You see, so that it's got disjointed now, and it's got to the point where it's like, you don't really know, do you? And they're like, okay, right, we don't, and this is going to be the same. Not that guy, because he's far too young. But we're going to have the same situation where they're going to say, yes, it's an emergent property, it's emergent, and then what are we in 2023 now? In another 11 years, 2044, is that right? I'm doing maths here. 2034, right? In 2034, when we've got ChatGPT version 20 or something like that, and and it's got a face and it's got a personality and everything like that, and then you're going to get the guys behind it going, yeah, isn't it great? And they're going to show you this laptop and say, look how it works, yeah. But it's not a human, it's not conscious. You might say, okay, I don't like you, and you go, well, so, and stuff like that, and it might actually interact that way, right? But it's because it's been programmed to. It's a machine that's been programmed to work that way. So it's not consciousness, even if it appears like it is. It's because a team of engineers and scientists have developed this thing, right? It's been designed, hasn't it? You know what I mean? It's not something that just emerged, is it? There were people who were doing this thing, yes? ChatGPT, they didn't just wire up a load of computers and then come back 11 years later and then there you go, you got ChatGPT. It didn't work like that, did it? No. So, I'm sorry, right? Not emergent. You're going to have to try something else. If you want to try and argue, right, about consciousness and where it comes from, that's not it. Yeah? Try again.